What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. It's time to continue my 2023 schedule previews / projected records for the 2023 college football season, and we continue them with the Penn State Nittany Lions. Here's the schedule last year for Penn State. You see the overall record for this team last year in the regular season, 10-2 overall, and then 11-2 overall in 2022. Got the win in the Rose Bowl against Utah. This Penn State team finished third in the Big Ten. You look at who they played in the non-conference. They played Auburn on the road, which they won that game pretty big. The non-conference schedule was not too tough last year for this Penn State team. So, I mean, they didn't really have any tough games on the schedule. They had that opening game against Purdue in the season, and that's a game that we thought kind of, would have been a loss there for Penn State. But they ended up, going on a winning streak there for a while before losing to Michigan here on the road, and they also lost to Ohio State last year. So they lost to the two top teams in the Big Ten East last year, to Michigan and Ohio State. So, both of those teams pretty much, had some really good seasons. But Penn State, I believe, was pretty much one of the best finishing teams in the Big Ten last year. Looking at this team coming into 2023, they have to replace Sean Clifford at quarterback. So they're going to have a different quarterback this year. But we'll see what the 2023 season is going to look like here for Penn State. Will they challenge Ohio State and Michigan in the Big Ten, or will they miss out once again on the Big Ten title race? And here's the schedule for 2023 for this Penn State team. You look at who they play in the non-conference. They'll play West Virginia here on September the 2nd. Interesting non-conference game there. West Virginia didn't make it to a bowl game last year, so pretty different story here for West Virginia. Heading into Penn State, pretty much a tough place to play, but it's a pretty interesting non-conference game to kick off the season for 2023. And then they'll play Delaware here on September the 9th. They'll also play UMass here. So overall, the non-conference schedule, not too tough once again for Penn State. Of course, that tough non-conference game will probably be West Virginia, but you never know. They could be favored in that game by a lot. You never know, because West Virginia wasn't a good team last year. We'll get to the percentages in just a minute. And you look at who they play in the Big Ten West outside of the Big Ten East. We know they're going to be playing every single Big Ten East team. So they will play Illinois, Iowa, and Northwestern here. And they'll open those games up pretty much, in the month of September. So they'll play three straight Big Ten West opponents. It will be Illinois first here on the road, then Iowa here at home, and then Northwestern here on September the 30th. Now, Iowa pretty much, is a revenge game for Penn State. They lost this game a couple years ago. Illinois on the road, going to be a tough place to play. Illinois was a pretty good team last year. Maybe Penn State still could be probably a favorite going into that game. And then Northwestern, one of the worst Big Ten teams from last year. So not a tough draw there out of the Big Ten West. I mean, the Big Ten West wasn't really all that good last year. So, yeah, overall, not a tough draw there out of the Big Ten West. Let's now go game by game now for this Penn State team. So they'll play West Virginia here to begin the season. Like I said, a pretty interesting non-conference matchup here with the Big 12 and Big 10. West Virginia wasn't a good team last year. Maybe they could turn it around this year. But like I said, we don't really know what the rosters are going to look like just yet for all of these teams in the college football season. So we'll see how this game plays out when it comes into the summertime. Delaware here on September the 9th. So they'll open up with two non-conference games here to begin the 2023 season. And then there's that game on the road at Illinois, an Illinois team that went 8-5 last year, turned things around after a 5-7 season in their first year head coach's year. Yeah, Illinois, this is going to be a tough place to play. I mean, Illinois has pretty much a chance maybe to win the Big Ten West this year. You never know because of the turnaround they had from last year. And maybe they could make a big jump there in the Big Ten West. Iowa's another team that probably could make another jump into the Big Ten West. You got pretty much, a transfer quarterback coming in, Cade McNamara. He'll be playing against this Penn State team, which he has before. But Iowa, a team that kind of struggled on offense last year. Maybe they turn it around this year. But the good news is for this Penn State team, they will get this game at home. Northwestern here on the road on September the 30th. I don't really see Penn State having any problems in this game. Northwestern wasn't that good last year. And then they'll play UMass here. They'll get a bye week before playing this game, which is kind of interesting. I think they would rather have the bye week before playing that big road game against Ohio State here on October the 21st. Ohio State's going to be different this year. They're going to have a new quarterback. C.J. Stroud's gone, but They'll still probably be a really explosive offense. You never know, but they just got to get that defense going as well, and this could make it a very interesting game. And I did Ohio State's projection already. You can go back and watch that video in the college football on the college football projected records playlist videos. It will be down in the description below. And then they'll play Indiana here on October the 28th, and another team that wasn't good in the Big Ten last year, but maybe they could try to turn it around this year. You never know. Maryland here on the road. This will be a tough place to play here for Penn State. Maryland could be a really big underdog team in the Big Ten East this year. Of course, Talia Tagovailoa coming back now for his senior season, so that's a huge return for this Maryland team. And then they'll play Michigan here on November the 11th. Big game here in the Big Ten East, and also a revenge game here for Penn State. They got blown out in the second half of that game from last year against Michigan. Michigan, one of the most explosive one of the most explosive offenses in the Big Ten from last year, and maybe Penn State can really compete in this game. It's a home game. That's the good news for this Penn State team. And then they'll play the Rutgers here on November the 18th. Rutgers team that has a lot of question marks. We don't know what the roster is going to look like just yet. Michigan State, though, they'll end things out here with on the road at Michigan State. A game that could go either way. You never know because it's a rival game. And it's a game that, like I said, when it comes to rival games, you just never know what can happen. But I know Michigan State wasn't that good last year. We don't really expect them to maybe have a bad year this year. I mean, maybe it was just a step back for them, and maybe they can have a better season. But like I said, you never know what can happen. Michigan State probably could have another bad year, but this is the schedule for Penn State, and overall, it's kind of a tough schedule. I mean, you have to play West Virginia out of the non-conference. Good news is you get that game at home. You have to play Illinois on the road, but yeah, overall, the schedule not too tough. I mean, actually, it is tough, but it's not really too bad or like a brutal schedule or anything like that. So now let's get into the percentages here for Penn State, what games they'll be favored in and what games they'll be underdogs in. And this is the scale I've been pretty much using so far throughout these projections. If it's a 1% game, these are games where Penn State has no chance of winning, but you probably won't see any of those percentages on here. You won't see any games in the red. 20% games, these are games where Penn State's going to be about a couple touchdowns. 40% in the yellow, these will be games where I think Penn State will be about a touchdown underdog. 50-50 games, these will stay in the white. These are games pretty much that can go either way. 60%, Penn State will be favored by about a touchdown. 80%, a couple touchdowns, and then 90%, more than 3 touchdowns. So that's the percentages I've been pretty much using throughout these projections. And we'll start with the green games. We're going to start with the 90% games. Games where I think Penn State will be favored more than 3 touchdowns. And I got 4 of those games on the schedule. I got Delaware, UMass, Indiana, and the Rutgers. Now, Indiana and Rutgers will be just at 90% because they are Big Ten matchups in the Big Ten East. Delaware and UMass, I could see those being over 99%. I mean, I don't see any problems with Penn State having it. Now, this is just based off of the teams from last year. Let's be honest, Indiana wasn't that good. The Rutgers were an okay team, but they didn't make it even close to a bowl game, so that's why I got to put these games in the green. It's just based off of the teams, how they were from last year. So these are the 4 games where I think Penn State will be favored by more than 3 touchdowns, but like I said, the Indiana and Rutgers games will be at 90%. We now go to the games now where Penn State will be favored by a couple touchdowns in the blue. And I just got 2 of those games on the schedule. I got West Virginia here on September the 2nd, and then Northwestern on the road. West Virginia, I think, is about 80%. I think Northwestern's about more than 80% because Northwestern wasn't that good of a team last year. One of the worst Big Ten teams from last season as well. Now, West Virginia, I believe, will be tough. I mean, West Virginia didn't have a good season last year, but I think they can make this game a little bit interesting. I know it's a home game for Penn State, but like I said, it could go either way. But I think I'm going to stick to it and make Penn State a couple touchdown favorites heading into this game as of right now, but it could change. You never know, probably into the purple. I'm going to go with pretty much, 80%. If this game was on the road for Penn State, I would probably put it in the purple. But as of right now, it's a home game, and I'm going to put it here in the blue. We now go to the games now where Penn State's going to be favored by about a touchdown. And I'm just going to go with 2 of those games on the schedule. I got Illinois here on the road and then Iowa here at home. Illinois was kind of a back and forth between me, but, Penn State had a really better season than Illinois last year. And I would have put this one in the 50-50 game, but I'm going to go ahead and stick it into the purple. I think really because of it's early in the year. Penn State probably could be a top 10 team heading into this season. And right now, I got to put this one in the purple. And I'm not saying it's going to be like a game that Penn State will win big. I think they'll have a struggling time in this game. Like perhaps they have a big struggle heading into this game, but I think Illinois will make it pretty close. But as of right now, I'm going to put this one in the purple. I'm going to stick to it here, and maybe that will change there. Maybe I can make my predictions, and I could probably predict Illinois to win this game. But like I said, my predictions don't begin until the later part of May, so I won't make those predictions until May. And then Iowa here on September the 23rd. This is another game that I thought about putting in the 50-50 games, but I'm going to stick with it and put it in the purple just because of the inconsistency that Iowa had on the offensive side of the ball last year, and also the season they had from last year as well. But this will probably be a game that probably could go either way as well. But as of right now, with it being a home game, I'm going to stick it in the purple. If this was on the road as well for Penn State, I would probably put it in the 50-50 game category. But as of right now, I'm going to just stick it in there in the purple. So now we go to the games now where Penn State's going to be an underdog in. And I don't have any red games. I don't have any orange games. And I just got some yellow games here in the 40%. And I just got one game on this schedule, and that's Ohio State here on the road. I think Penn State will be about a touchdown underdog heading into this game on the road. Now, if this game was at home for Penn State, I would probably put this one as well in the 50-50 games, but I'm going to stick it right now as a underdog game for Penn State. It could change, though. It could change to a 50-50 game, but as of right now, it's a 40% game, and I think Ohio State, the way they finished ahead of last year. But remember, the game was pretty close last year. Penn State just made a lot of mistakes. Could that be the case once again this season? But we'll have to see when this matchup plays out. And, I think Penn State, though, will be a heavy underdog heading into this game, just about 40%. So, and the rest of the games here on this schedule are pretty much 50-50 games. Maryland was probably close to being in the, purple games, but I'm going to stick with it and put it in the 50-50 games. Taulia Tagovailoa's return kind of, got me into the 50-50 category there. Michigan is another 50-50 game. I've already done Michigan's projection, and I think, that's pretty much, a 50-50 game because it is a home game for this Penn State team. And then that Michigan State game on the road. Now, I probably could have put this one here in the purple just because of Michigan State's record from last year, but as of right now, I'm going to stick with it and put it in the 50-50 game because it is a rival game. You never know what can happen. I just think it will be probably a back-and-forth game. And it's a tough place to play at Michigan State Stadium, so I'm going to stick with it and put it in the white. So when you look at these 50-50 games, do I see Penn State winning all of them? Not really. I don't really see them winning all of them. Maybe they win 2 out of those 3 games, maybe 1 out of those 3. And that could probably happen. Maybe they can win all 3 of these games. Let's say they lose to Maryland, then they beat Michigan and also lose to Michigan State. But like I said, they could probably lose to Maryland, and then they can also beat Michigan, and then also beat Michigan State. But, they could probably win all 3 of these games. But, I think, with Maryland being on the road and Michigan State being on the road, these are tough environments to play in. And Michigan is a home game, but I'm going to stick with it and put it in the white. So these are 3 games where I think Penn State will pretty much have games that can go either way. So when you look at this schedule, let's give you now an overall projected record for this team. When you look at this schedule and look at the games that they're favored in and also the games that they'll be underdogs in, and you look at the 50-50 games, the overall projected record for this Penn State team in 2023 comes out to be 9-3 for 2023. I think Penn State, the projected record comes out to be 9-3. 3 losses, I believe, could probably come to Maryland on the road, Michigan at home, perhaps. I mean, they could probably beat Michigan. Michigan State will probably be another one. I think best case scenario for this Penn State team will be 10-2, and their only losses probably would come to some of those road games. Ohio State will probably be a loss. You never know. And I think worst case scenario for this Penn State team will be 8-4. So that's my overall projected record for this Penn State team, 9-3 in 2023. Let me guys know what you think about this projected record for this Penn State team down in the comments below. And keep subscribing to this channel if you are liking this sports content on this channel as well as the projected records. And stay tuned here for more sports content on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.